Yeah, I'm helping some hack fucking make money.
And welcome to the Tougies Take Podcast. The perfect segue. Isn't that right, Endo Mills?
Yes, it is. Welcome to another episode of the Tougies Take Podcast. As Tougie said, I am halfway awake, but I am here. We are talking about yet again another division today in the podcast. You know, our little preview right before the season starts. And with us today, our lovely guest. You've seen him on Twitch, you've seen him on TikTok, you've seen him probably somewhere on the internet or at Arizona Coyotes games in the beautiful Mullet Arena. The lovely, beautiful father figure for all of us at Medium Elite, Dekeslayer. How are you doing?
I don't know if I can ever. I don't know how to come into that. That's the best thing anybody's ever said about me. I'm
It's
honored.
okay. Like
It's
my
a thrill
actual
to be
dad.
here. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to probably make a fool of myself. So I'm really excited. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, you can keep up to the bed. It's fine. It's like my actual dad. Just say you're gonna leave for pizza and end up in Vegas. You know, it's fine.
I've done that before. Wait.
Yeah.
You have done that to us
have
before
done that.
on stream.
Like, all right, I'll be back. I'm done in Vegas. Crazy.
God, beautiful.
You can
Deke,
take
it's
it
good.
away. I'm gonna go make coffee. Jesus.
Yeah, you go ahead. Deke, it's good to have you back on the show. This time not like tied to any sort of like negative or at least outright negative circumstances.
It's so good to be here when it's not a bad news for my team. I'm very excited.
Last time it was once the Tempe Arena vote failed back in, what was that, February or something like that? So
yeah, that was
yeah, it's good to have you on the show and to be able to talk all about the wonder known as Logan Cooley and the excitement level.
And just to update you guys, that landfill is still there. They have not turned it into a park for children or whatever the hell Tempe first said it was going to be. So there you go.
I can't wait to have you on the show a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and it's just
great.
the landfill update still going to be there.
Every preseason preview, we'll do a landfill update. Maybe I'll go out there and take pictures. Still here.
Please.
Still a landfill.
Honestly, I need you to do that for Instagram and just like tag the city of Tempe.
I should. I think I will. That's not
just
far
like
from where I have hockey practice, so yeah.
Just like monthly updates of like it. That could be the perfect account. Is the Tempe landfill still there? Yes.
Yep. They do anything with it? No.
No, they never will.
No.
God. Well, the good news is we're going to be able to get into our whole kind of Central Division breakdown on the show rather quickly today because there is not much to talk about in the hockey world that's happened over the course of the weekend, with the exception, and we'll start off with this before getting to some viewer questions, with the exception of the news today that Trevor Zegras finally signed with the Anaheim Ducks. And I will give one Pat Verbeek credit in a sense. I said it was kind of ridiculous to expect to sign Trevor Zegras for under $6 million, but they did at 5.75 for the next 3 years. He'll still be an RFA when the deal is up. So, you know, I give them credit. I think they kind of got the deal that they wanted. I don't see why they had to try to kind of mess around with their face of the franchise level prospect here, but they did. But hey, it all worked out in the end, I suppose. That's really all I have to add about the whole Trevor Zegras thing at this point. Aside from, I don't know, he'll do a Michigan this year probably. So that'll be fun. As we all will in NHL, because now it's just one button.
All he's got to do is press Y, Tougie.
Oh God, I believe I saw a clip from Nasher today that he pulled off of Michigan on accident. So
I wish I had that problem.
Well, you might, and you know we can
have. Oh man, I'm suddenly good at this game. I'm accidentally good at a game. Crazy.
Yeah,
I want that. Please.
Well, we can get into that because obviously, like the big thing is like we are recording this as NHL 24 is live for the content creators, at least the GCs, the design council, call them whatever you will. Obviously, a lot of people are big mad about it, but that's hilarious because it happens every single year. So it's almost as if the people that claim scheduled tweet are the ones who are also scheduling their tweets of getting mad about this. But Deke, NHL 24, obviously 23, you have talked about quite a bit of not being a game that wasn't quite a game that you enjoyed.
No, I wouldn't say it was a game I enjoyed at all. I don't want to trash it. I mean, it's done. We're on to a new game, but it just, for me, the last from 23 to 22 to 21 have all felt like the exact same game to me. And when you stream that as your primary game, the desire, the hunger to play this game, it just, without any exciting, something new, innovative, or what have you, it just kind of kills your desire to play the game on a routine basis. So I am hopeful that 24 is going to be better for all of us. I know what we can expect coming with franchise mode, but I know that hopefully there's a brighter future for franchise as we move down the road with future NHL games.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Obviously, I've made my thoughts pretty clear on franchise and just how I do think it's better. Unfortunately, it is so well tied into the state of their provided rosters, which are the worst they've ever been. It's in contention, so it's.
I mean, you're right there. I mean, all they got to do is write you a check. I mean, this isn't even hard. Do it.
If only. It's almost at the point where the mental. I'm not going to say I would do it for free, but I'm not saying it either.
That's what they're holding out for. They want you to say you'll do it for free.
Well, I already do with the roster sharing, right? So
yeah.
Shot myself in the foot with that one, didn't I? Yep. I pushed too hard for roster sharing instead of employment. And now here we are. I'm screwed. The time's gone.
Now they're like, we don't need to pay him. Got him. Give him the feature he wanted. We're good.
I really did play myself, didn't I? I'm just now realizing that. That's.
But you got roster sharing.
We got roster sharing.
There you go.
Not cross-platform though.
No, not yet. That's a future iteration.
PlayStation user can just be like, "Oh God, who's out there?" Which is all I've been hearing. So sorry if there's any good PlayStation creators out there, because, yeah.
Oh no.
Anyway, with that, we'll get into some viewer questions. Before we do, we need to mention, as always, this podcast is brought to you by our lovely friends at manscaped.com. Want to remind you, of course, you can get 20% off your order. I can't speak. And free shipping when you use code Tougie, Tougie, at manscaped.com. Manscaped, the best you can get, the pinnacle, the peak in the world of grooming. Whether it's, up here or down there, they got you covered. Manscaped.com. Use code Tougie. Deke, I don't know if you saw the clip from our last viewer questions segment.
I did not.
That's good. So you might not know what you're getting yourself into.
Oh, good. I can't wait. It's a fun surprise. I can't wait.
Yep. This should be good. We will start off. God. There's a reason why we run with the tagline "Hockey Fraudcast," because we pretend this podcast is about hockey, but then we get viewer questions like this from Young Burrito. I'm going to read this verbatim. If you lead one country, who would you lead? That is how it was written. If you lead one country, who would you lead? Sin? Who would you lead if you lead one country?
Finland!
Good country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Endo, who would you lead if you lead one country?
The Democratic Union of Sleeptopia.
Good country.
I don't know.
Is it a country if it's a Democratic Union?
Dude, fucking, I don't know, man. I could really say some things about places that are countries that maybe are not actually countries right now, but I plead the fifth.
All right. Dekeslayer, if you could lead one country, what country you lead?
I'm going to pick the most random one I could think of, and that was Trinidad and Tobago, which I believe is just an island.
Nice.
There you go.
I was going to do the same thing and go with Botswana.
Yeah.
Yugoslavia.
Bring back Yugoslavia, unless you find that statement offensive, which you might, because, yeah. Well, Jesus, I've had to deal with 5 years of people being like, you should do a USSR franchise. And I'm like, sir.
Nah, you should do USSR.
I should not.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, now's a great time to do a franchise mode about Russian takeovers.
Yes.
Great time.
Perfect.
It's topical, at least.
Yes. Do it.
Yeah, and then
you get all the clicks. fucking pinko liberal.
And then towards the end of the franchise mode, you're able to draft players from Afghanistan for 1 year.
Yeah.
Single year.
I don't know how I'm going to divide Germany within the game, but we'll figure that one out too. It'll be a fun time. It won't be at all. God, next up. What's the most impressive non-hockey stat you've seen from a hockey player? Dustin Penner got hurt eating pancakes. Is that a stat? The most non-hockey stat.
That's not a stat then, right? Because stat implies it's tracked.
That's a man.
Next up, from our favorite sister Christian Cage, aka Hawks. What is each of your go-to fall/winter beverage of choice?
God,
they're hitting you with the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, these suck today, man.
Where's Piney?
He's coming up. He's coming up.
Okay,
he wasn't the first one to drop a question.
Oh my God.
Pumpkin spice latte.
I'm gonna go for a
extra
pumpkin spice
soy.
latte and my UGG boots.
Yeah.
I think I look good.
Extra soy for my fucking.
If I enjoy a drink, a season doesn't stop me from enjoying it. I will enjoy it off season.
Yep.
You're a madman.
110-degree summer weather since drinking hot chocolate in California.
Well, I actually never drink hot chocolate, so there you go.
Unbelievable. I don't have an answer.
You
for
never
this.
had hot chocolate?
Mine's either an energy drink or coffee, whatever has caffeine in it. Just give it to me.
There you go.
So there's never a wrong time.
Endo can subscribe to that based off of today.
He's waking up. He's coming to life.
From Reds Rebels, can I have an NHL 24 code? I will direct you to the
huge TV.
Yeah,
I was just going to say YouTube. I was going to go right to Tougie. He loves it. He loves giving out codes.
Yeah, I'm not a game changer.
No, are you not?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But he gets to his first launch as a game changer, and now he's changing up real quick on you.
The funny thing is, in my YouTube banner, I've had Game Changer up there because when I got accepted to do it by Flopfish was when it was like Game Changer upper tier and Game Changer lower tier, and then they changed it into Playmaker or wherever. I didn't change my banner because it looked good, and now I'm not lying anymore. Although to be fair, with the community's seemingly disdain for game changers, I probably wasn't doing myself any favors by keeping it up there in my YouTube banner.
Look,
probably not. No, I mean it's better to to rally against the evil game changers.
Yeah,
like Dekeslayer, pure evil.
Yeah, all the game changing I'm doing, ruining it for all of you Hut players.
Yeah, the market's bad. Blame Dekeslayer.
That's my fault.
No, just blame sleeves again.
Like my fault. The goalie exhaust system, my fault. Totally.
No GM.
You didn't get the McDavid in your opening day Hut packs, my fault.
Thanks, Obama.
I want that. I want that hate on Twitter.
I mean, the engagement,
Yeah,
that's exactly why I want it.
Just think about the engagement.
That's all I'm thinking about. Get me paid on that website. Get me paid anywhere I can. I don't care.
God, you got to be like Neeler and just the second podcast mentioned in a row for Neeler. Just hate on the Ottawa Senators.
Go hate on Chicago. Like that's perfect.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Just go hate on every single Chicago post.
There you go. From a rogue pineapple. Because some of the other ones, there was one about the dumbest sports injury, which I already said. It was Dustin Penner getting hurt eating pancakes, which isn't surprising. He did shout out Detroit Tigers legend Joel Zumaya getting hurt due to playing too much Guitar Hero, though, which is
that was going to be my go-to.
Yes.
There you go. What is the worst stress dream you've ever had? This one's far too real. Mine was I was put at an event with a bunch of people. And when we got out, it was late at night, and my mail truck was waiting for me full of mail, and I started delivering my route. That's a hell of a stress dream. Boy, you guys just set up Dekeslayer for failure here. We got nothing to go with.
Oh, I can work with this one. I can work with this one.
Oh my God.
Right, so repeat the question because I want to make sure I answer it right.
Your worst stress dream that you've ever had.
Okay, so mine sucks, but I got something. So 10 years after, so I graduated from college in 2006. 10 years after I graduated college, I was still having dreams that I had papers that were never turned, that I didn't turn in a paper, or that I was going to fail a test I didn't study for. And I wake up, cold sweat, and I go, graduated college 10 years ago. What the hell am I worried about? And I don't do it anymore, but I did have them all the way up to well out of college. Like,
that's fair.
It sucks. And for those of you who go to college, you know what I'm talking about. So it'll happen to you.
Be like me. Don't go to college.
Yeah, just don't go, honestly. Could
or go a little bit and drop out and accrue a ton of debt.
There you go.
That's what I did.
Yeah. About that. Honestly, that dream is not uncommon. Like I have it now about like high school for some fucking reason. Like it'll be like me and my current age and state of mind, but like, oh, you forgot to like hand in like 50 different assignments and you're 25 now and you don't know if you've graduated or not, or if your diploma is even real. And I wake up and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I dapped up my principal's like hand getting my diploma. Why am I freaking out so much about like not graduating?
It just doesn't go away is the problem. Like that stress that they instill in all of us will never go away. We'll always be haunted by it. It's just how it works. Hate to say it. You can't escape it. I don't really feel like I get stress dreams, to be honest.
I don't remember most of my dreams these days. I don't know what that says about me.
Maybe
but I mean, I do have stress dream. I'm not going to say the real one because it's a fucking downer, but I will bring up this fever dream I had once that I remember vividly to this day. When I was a kid, like 12, I got really sick when I was visiting my friend in LA and like was sick on the flight home and stuff like that. And that night I went to sleep, and in my dream, I was just stuck on endless escalators at the fucking airport, not being able to find where I could go. Constantly stuck on escalators and unable to find where my gate was. And that's an awful fever dream, by the way. So yeah, I'll go with that.
I mean, at least what's being mentioned, obviously. Well, I feel like with a stress dream, it's inherently going to be practical. You know, it's that idea of like, all right, it's going to be based off an experience or something like that. My life has been stressful enough that I don't need the stress dreams.
Yeah,
I'm just good to go.
My stress actually keeps me up at night.
Yeah. I never have the time to actually dream about the stress when it just keeps me perpetually awake. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. Our final question comes from me. Dekeslayer, true or false, you are the greatest FC 24 goal scorer alive?
Oh, true. 100%. My goals to games and everything like that, shot ratio, all of it is like near the tops. I mean, 1 goal on 1 shot. I mean, it doesn't
Your
get any
first
better.
shot?
No. Yeah. First shot ever of EAFC 24. Went in, was a goal. I have considered retirement. You know, going out on top at the top of my game, I think is something that I have looked deep inside of myself to see if that's what I want to do, and I haven't quite come to that decision yet. But it's there. I mean, it's, you know, you come in a champion and you go out a champion. I mean, it feels good, man. And I just I think that might be a real thing that I have to consider. So I'll update you. But retirement is definitely on the table after a performance like that.
Potential end of an era, as that was a really fun night though.
Life.
Yeah, that was a fun night. We've played a lot of pro clubs in the past 2 weeks or so. Yeah, it's fun, man.
I know. Fun. I feel like I should try it at some point, even though I'm not a big soccer fan.
It's a fun game. It is.
Yeah, I don't feel like you have to be a big soccer fan to enjoy it. It helps, obviously, like anything else. But you know, most of that stream is memeing and playing GeoGuessr with pro clubs.
So it's like NHL.
Yes. Let's be honest. Which, now we get to see Deke take to the virtual ice instead of the virtual pitch, and
I can't wait to get angry at that.
Yeah,
this is when my beard's white. Damn hockey game. Ruined everything. I was looking at a clip of myself from when I first started streaming back in 2019. I got a full color in my beard. It wasn't age that did it. It was that damn video game, and you will never convince me otherwise.
I believe
Ever.
it, to be
and
honest.
I'm fatter too, so that's also NHL, the gaming's fault. So I blame the game for that too.
Yeah.
I'm fat and and I don't have any hair anymore. So, well, I didn't anyway, but you know.
I was gonna say, yeah, when you first started, you didn't anyway. Didn't you?
I didn't have any hair, a little bit.
Just a bit.
Less now, so it's TS fault too. So that's whatever. We'll just pile on everything.
I mean, it's still not as drastic of a change as the picture that you've shown from you in your early 20s, early to mid 20s compared to what you look like now.
A little fatty that I was, yeah. I'll say it. No, yeah, that was a different guy back then. Trust me, I've got worse, and someday I'll put those out, and you can see how just different I look. I had glasses, and I was 300 pounds, and it was a thing. It's an experience.
There is the running joke. There is the running joke that we are on like the same timeline.
Yeah.
So, I have seen the joke in regards to that picture of Dekeslayer was Tougie. So
yeah, it's crazy. Fun. Yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to do it. Did anybody do a side by side yet? Did somebody?
God, no, but I'm here to see it because it gives me potential hope.
All right.
I'm all right. I'm all right with losing the hair and going gray. I just need to.
You're gonna age gracefully.
Yes. Here's hoping.
You got that.
With that, we will get into talking about the old Pacific Division here because, as mentioned, it's NHL 24 day, and I know Dekeslayer is chomping at the bit. So excited to get to some lovely NHL 24 gameplay.
Really am.
With that, we're gonna go in reverse order from worst to best in terms of this division from last season, which means we are starting off with everyone's favorite team, the Chicago hockey team.
Yeah.
Or should I say Connor Bedard and his band of merry men.
God, I will say real quick, man, that is a hockey team, and the press has just like one hand on the bottom, just the whole time about Bedard. He does anything, they're just gawking him. And I understand why. I completely understand why. This is an amazing prospect, amazing player. But at the same time, it is the equivalency of the NFL shoving Taylor Swift down everyone's throat.
Oh, I don't want to get started on that.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Connor Bedard is on the ice, though. You know?
Oh, okay. Wait till next year. Taylor Swift's going to take the field, take by storm.
Quarterback Taylor
Swift.
Bedard
by then.
Tight end Taylor Swift.
And the NHL put out this tweet where it's like they were asking like some stupid question to Bedard, and all the comment was like, "I like hockey," and they made a whole post about it. And I'm actually trying to find it because it's so stupid. It's like, who cares? And then they made this TikTok where he's like, it was this play against the Red Wings, which granted it was a solid deke on his part. He didn't score, but they're like, man, they are just chomping at the bit for anything from this kid. Like,
it was full. Like,
any positive news for Chicago is welcome at this point.
Yeah. They got the Rocky patch on their jersey though for this season. So
they had a Rocky patch for less.
It's the second most offensive thing on their jersey. So, jeez.
God. In terms of the team, though, like obviously there's going to be a lot more optimism this season. They should be a better team than 59 points, 26 wins from last season. Just inherently, it's a better roster. You get Taylor Hall, a lot of younger talent on that team as well that might be able to step up and into that lineup. They're going to be a better team. It's just the question of how good will they be. Obviously, with Connor Bedard, too, the biggest thing is just like, you obviously can't blame them. I don't think anybody can for overhyping every little thing that he does. And honestly, it's a good thing. Like, you could argue maybe it's a little bit too much in a certain direction. But compared to how the NHL used to struggle to market their players, I'd rather have them trying too hard than too little.
Yeah. Is the league desperate for a face for the league? Like they pushed Sidney Crosby so hard in the mid 2000s when he got drafted. Have they just not had that, and that's why they're pushing Bedard so hard?
Probably. McDavid is a bit too awkward. Ever since that that famous interview when he's talked about Zach Cassian banging dudes out there, like he just isn't charismatic. Let's say that he's a fucking magician.
He has the personality of a brick.
Yeah, he has zero personality.
I think that's why people freaked out about Matthew Tkachuk in the playoffs. It's just the idea of like, oh my god, a player has personality.
Yeah, and then Zegras looked like he could have been on his way, and then all of a sudden, I don't know why, now a bunch of people hate him, and I cannot figure out why people hate him. I'm looking, I don't know. What did he do? Did he do anything?
Showboating kid doesn't know how to get pucks in the corner and fight his way to the front of the net. He tries to skill. It's disrespectful. That's why.
Is that it though? Oh my god.
Yes.
It's just
That's
weird.
That's it.
Why do
Get
people
off my
want to gatekeep like the sport so bad? It's very, very
I don't know.
weird.
I don't know.
It's the wokeification sin of the NHL. I want to see big meaty men banging in the corner. I don't want to see. I don't want to see Michigans.
Meat. The only meat don't want to be Michigans. I want meat-chigans. Just beat each other up.
I want to see
pulp.
I want to see Tony Twist's nose live up to his namesake after
Jesus
17
Christ.
fights a game. I don't want to see skill. Show me grit and toughness, men.
Quick thing about Tony Twist. Did you know he got sued for ruining for what was it? God, what was it? He was playing the minors and he beat up a goalie during a game, and then the goalie pressed charges against him.
Now that's hockey.
That is hockey.
That's
It's like, oh, he was a prospect, and he was like, yeah, I played like 2 games in the NHL, and then I got beat up by Tony Twist, and now I have like concussions and everything, and now he's like a really fucking good goalie coach who's like worked with a lot of top goalies, and he just, yeah.
I want
crazy.
Bill Guerin assaulting his teammate in practice.
Yes, brother.
Now that's hockey.
I want him
Forgot
giving
about that.
leg drops on the ice, brother.
God. So anyway, Chicago. Again, they'll be a better team this year. There's going to be obviously a lot about Connor Bedard. I'd say the best question would be the question everyone's asking. If you had to guess, how many goals does Connor Bedard score in his rookie season?
I'd like to think 30.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
40.
Okay.
30's a
Gonna
safe
say-
bet.
I'm leaning
I
towards
took
30,
the
right?
safe bet
It
on
is
that.
a safe bet, but he's better than Matthews. Like, he's gonna be better than Matthews. Sorry, Toronto, but he's gonna be better than Matthews.
How dare
Listen
you?
here, you
How
little
dare
shit.
you?
Matthews got, like, yes, Matthews had a better supporting cast, but Bedard has a better release. Don't at me. Like, that release is disgusting.
I mean, he might have the best shot release of all time.
Like, he might. It's absolutely unreal. And the fact is, he has way better handles than Matthews too. At the age he is at now,
That's fair.
he's more of a game changer than Matthews is already. And I know I'm gonna catch hella heat for saying it, but he has way more upside. Now, I think 30 is probably the safe bet and probably going to be a more correct bet than me saying 40 because he has so little supporting cast. But he can also do a ton on his own. So we'll see. We'll see.
Who's the
But
other line with? Taylor Hall and who else?
Oh, yeah. They
What
got Taylor Hall.
Athanasiu.
Is it Athanasiu? Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
think
right
so.
now, Cap Friendly, excuse me, has Tyler Johnson on the right wing of that line.
Oh. There you go. Drink some
So,
water, buddy. It's
they're
all
in.
good.
Yeah, I know. I'm dying over here. Sorry. Absolutely dying. But yeah, right now is Tyler Johnson listed on that line. That could obviously change. It was modified an hour ago, though, based on when I loaded up the page. So I imagine it's somewhat accurate. But yeah, who knows? I mean, it does seem like Taylor Hall will be glued to Connor Bedard this season. And
Probably.
rightfully so.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall's contract is up, not at the end of this year, but at the end of next year. And methinks he will be getting decently paid once that deal is up. He's already making $6 million against the cap. So, I mean, he'll be making at least that despite being in his mid-30s when the deal happens to end. So I don't think there's anybody that expects Chicago to be worse than they were last year. The team that finished in 7th, the Arizona
Hi, baby.
Coyotes.
7th place. We weren't last. We were supposed to be, but we weren't.
You guys were touted to be the worst team in league history, as as my
Which is
recollection
kinda weird.
brings up.
Yeah. There were
And
people,
yet you finished 6th last in the NHL.
Yep. And it was actually not miserable watching that team. I mean, we knew what we were going to be. But going to games, I mean, like, okay, there's some life here. I mean, just a reminder, since we're going to bag on Toronto, the Maple Leafs did not beat the Coyotes at all. In fact, let me rephrase that. The Coyotes beat the Maple Leafs through the entire calendar year of 2022. So, I mean, it's, something that we kind of built off of, I think, and got a lot of wins that I don't think a lot of people saw us getting. I think that there was a little disappointment within our fan base that we weren't going to get Bedard. I mean, I'm not going to lie, we held out hope. But when we knew we were going to be the 6th team, it was fleeting at best. But that draft surprised us. I know that's another conversation, but regardless, I mean, the team on ice last year was not great, and we finished, I think, above everyone's expectations. And so kind of getting into this year, you look at all the additions we've made with Kerfoot, Zucker, brought Bukestad back, and Matt Dumba now on defense. I know Matt Dumba's not the player he used to be, but again, this team should be better overall standings wise. Are we going to win the division? No. Are we going to make the playoffs? I still don't think so. But I think we're better than a 7th place team this year, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement. And if any of these guys that we've signed to 1-year deals and this team falls out, well, that's more trade. That's just more trade bait for Bill Armstrong to acquire more picks, and we just keep doing this until we've got a whole team of drafted players.
As if they need more draft picks. Right now, for those who do not know, this upcoming draft, 2024, their own 1st rounder, 3 2nd rounders, and 3 3rd rounders. Yep. 2025, their own 1st rounder, 4 2nd rounders, and 2 3rd rounders. 2026, their own 1st, 3 2nds, and 2 3rds.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
Bill Armstrong's playing franchise mode is what Bill Armstrong's doing right now. It's crazy.
And when when he got hired, his plan was the long game. Like, this was always like what he wanted to do. So he's doing it.
And I can't imagine he won't be given the time to kind of continue doing this. And I mean, especially too, like, you get the huge boost to this team that is Logan Cooley signing. When, there was the word out there of like, oh, there's no way he's going to sign. And then like 2 days later he did, because that's how news media works in sports at this point. I think it was Frank Saravalli like an hour before Zegras signed with the Ducks who said, oh, last I heard they're way far apart. And lo and behold, he signed today. And obviously he had his star-making performance, you could say, in Australia, where people just realized like, oh, he can do that.
Yeah.
Even in the course of a preseason game, it doesn't matter. That was beyond impressive. And I get, that whole idea of, oh yeah, man, damn, if only in this draft we did have a top 3 pick, because little did you know you could have landed Fantilli at number 3.
Yep.
But I do still like, that idea of Logan Cooley eventually being the number 1 guy. Right now, Cap Friendly has Barrett Hayton listed as the number 1 center.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are just like, oh, bust. 5th overall pick in 2018 is not that good. Barrett Hayton is one of the kind of surprises in the league, where I think if he was on a Montreal, he would have the reputation of someone like Philip Deneau, where they are somewhat similar players. It's just obviously he has that history of like, oh, you were a 5th overall pick and taken, 2 picks before Quinn Hughes, for example. But that 2018 draft was a bit of a minefield in the 1st round anyway. So,
and you look at Barrett Hayton, and he lost a year of development because of COVID, and I think he's turned into, at least for us, that top 6 that we expected him to be. I don't think he was ever expected to be, a lead at all. I think he was just expected to be that top 6 center that this team desperately needed, and he's turned into that. And he's going to be with Nick Schmaltz. He'll be with Keller this year, and I think he's going to have a pretty damn good year, honestly. I'm excited to see what that first line is. And then if you got a second line that has Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther on it, we'll see what this top 6 is going to look like. So I'm excited. That's why I'm so excited to watch this team and go to Mullet Arena and see them. A lot of great.
You mean you don't have to go all the way to Salt Lake City? What happened to that?
I don't have to go to Salt Lake City. I don't have to go to wherever the hell we're moving this week. I don't know. Quebec. It's
Houston.
I've quit trying to argue with people who are like, move the team to Quebec. It's like, that's never going to happen. Like, it can't happen. You realize that you have to be division realignments. They won't do it. And Detroit and Columbus aren't going back to the Western Conference. So, and Houston can get a team through expansion. They're not getting it. I fully expect to hear something about our arena here in the next, before the end of the year, easily. And I don't think, if Logan Cooley was serious about, thinking that, this team's not gonna have a home, and maybe I'm not gonna sign there. Obviously, somebody told him, okay, we got something here. And if it ends up being the Andrew Maruello's got to buy the land and build the damn arena himself, then I think that's what he'll end up doing. He's already got a deal going out in Vegas where he's building something else out there too. So it's just a drop, dropping the bucket, building an arena out here, I guess, compared to what he's doing in Vegas.
So in terms of the Coyotes, I would say, again, a team that you would expect to do better. 70 points last year, 28 wins. They're kind of in that mix, although it could come down to just how tough the rest of the division is. Which brings us to the team that finished in 6th last season, the St. Louis Blues, who I view as quite the wild card at this stage in terms of 81 points last season. 37 wins. Are they better than that, or are they not? They haven't had too many changes to their lineup, not as if they've needed it. It just really comes down to that kind of core group of talent, the Binningtons, Parayko, Krug, and Falk. It comes down to that primary crop of talent as to whether or not they can do better. There wasn't that big injection of talent outside of Kevin Hayes, who was added to the team, which I do think, Kevin Hayes being a third-line center for them is pretty solid. I mean, you have Robert Thomas, Braden Shen, Kevin Hayes down the middle. It's a pretty good setup. But they're a team where it's like, I don't have too much to add because all I can go off of is what I've seen from Blues fans, which is, well, hopefully our core guys are better than they were last season.
Yeah, their forward core, I think, is pretty questionable, while their defense looks pretty damn good, at least on paper and stuff like that. And they're putting a lot of money into it. They got 3 guys signed to $6.5 million. So you hope like hell that they're doing good. But Robert Thomas is solid. Kairu's pretty damn good. They are still young. Neither of them have hit the age of 26 yet. But I don't know. Other than that, you have Shen, who's great two-way player. Buchnevich, you're starting to get towards and second line-ish type dudes. And after that, it's just a steep drop off. You have 3 guys who you could, probably first liners, at least top 6 on contending teams. But after that, it drops off in a huge way. Buchnevich, I still have some question marks about him. Saad is obviously not the player he once was. And then it just seems like they filled out their lineup with a lot of those borderline type guys. Kapanen, Vrana. And are you expecting them to be second line? It's a stretch to me.
Do you expect Vrana or Kapanen to have a bounce back season of any kind?
I mean, not on this roster. I could be wrong, but I don't really see it on. Maybe the extra playing time helps them, but I always felt like Kapanen and Vrana, but mostly Kapanen, were more always products of their line mates. And if you're the Blues, you're likely not throwing Kapanen in Kairu's place to play with Robert Thomas. So, I don't know.
Solid third liners.
Yeah. Jakub Vrana, too, was limited to 25 games last season with 16 points due to being in the player assistance program for a good amount of the season. So, rooting for the guy, at least. I'll say that. But, this Blues lineup, we've looked at 2 divisions so far over the past week. And this Blues lineup might be at the top of the list for okay, this could be a good season for you and you could be a playoff team. Or this could be really, really bad and a situation that might not get better anytime soon for the reason that Sin mentioned. They have 3 defensemen, the Parekos, Krugs, and Falks of the world, that are at $6.5 million until at least 2027.
All are 30 plus too. Not that that's like the end of the road, but I mean, it's like they're not getting younger. It's like you can arguably three of your highest paid players and 3 guys that you really count on aren't really going to be around or be at the same level for that much longer. They're all like, obviously Pareko signed a long time. Krug and Falk both have 4 years left, counting this one coming up. But like, what direction are the Blues taking? They're kind of in a weird spot where I'm not too sure. They tried to do the quick turnaround. You know, they sold a lot. They got some picks and stuff like that. Time will tell how the picks and prospects pan out, how quickly they can insert them. But this reminds me a lot of the Sharks of a couple years ago, where it's like, maybe you can try to do a quick turnaround, keep yourself alive, keep trying to push, but I don't know.
So with that, before we move on to our next team, we did get started a little bit later today than we initially intended. And because of that, we got to let our main man Dekeslayer go off into the yonder and keep his schedule on track. But Deke, at the very least, I do want to thank you for being here, of course. And again, it was under a positive reason this time, and hopefully the next time's even more positive.
And to kind of wrap up the Central real quick, if you were going to do predictions, I think Dallas takes the division. And I don't even know if that's a hot take.
It might not
honestly.
Be. Yeah, no, it might not be at this stage.
And the Coyotes finish ahead of St. Louis. There you go.
Boom. There you go.
There you go.
It's out there
Blues
now.
fans get mad. I don't care.
Dekeslayer, most people listening to this will already know. But what do you have going on?
Oh, man. We got a lot of NHL going on. 24 is here, baby. It's a new hockey season, and I'm going to be just as obnoxious as I was the last few years, and, you know, I'm excited. Well, maybe I'll be worse. Who knows? But we're going to have fun. And, again, I apologize for having to keep it short, but I want to thank you guys so much for being here, for letting me be here. And, you know, I'm always over at twitch.tv/Dekeslayer and ruining somebody's day and being the old man in the directory. So it's a pleasure and it's a thrill. And thank you guys so much. Again, I hope I can come back soon and stay with you. And we'll get, we'll get mad about hockey. It'll be fun.
Anytime you want, Deke. Anytime you want. Well, with that guy out of the way, now we can really talk shit about the Coyotes now that he's not here. Terrible franchise. Move them.
Move the team.
Yeehaw. Move them to Houston. Yeehaw.
Cooley's going to void his contract.
Going to sit out, go play in Switzerland. Teams.
Josh Dona's a nepotism hire. I said it. He's a nepotism hire.
He's going to go to the Maple Leafs to be with his dad. That's right. You thought Leafs went to Arizona? It's the other way around. Anyway, the team that finished in 5th last season, the Nashville Predators, who missed out on a playoff spot by all of 3 points, but underwent a really, really bizarre offseason. The departure of Matt Duchene, I say departure. It was a buyout. The trade with $4 million worth of retained salary that sent Ryan Johansson to Colorado, and they bring in Ryan O'Reilly as a free agent. This is another team, and Luke Shen on a good amount of money as well. This is another team where, kind of like the Blues, I could see them being a little bit better than last year, but I think most people, or about the same, I think most people, though, maybe not better, actually, now that I think about it.
They're not going to be
the amount
better.
of talent that they lost. They have some younger players that I really like that I think could step up. I tried to will it into existence that I think they could be better. No. They're just not, are they? They're just not.
No.
They're not going to hit 92 points again. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a weaker year in Nashville.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the roster right now, and I'm like, who's the 1C? It's Ryan O'Reilly.
Sure is.
Who is making 4.5. It's a great contract, but he's not the Ryan O'Reilly of yesteryear. He's still great. He's still solid. He's not a 1C anymore. Like, he's 32, which isn't old by, NHL terms, but for his play style, this is when he starts, not falling off a cliff, but this is the drop off. Like, and his supporting cast, Nyquist.
Yeah, so their top line right now is Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Juuso Parssinen. Philip Forsberg's still a pretty underrated player in the league. Very, very solid. Parssinen was pretty good last year at 22 years old. He was a bit of a surprise. The second line is an NHL franchise mode third line of Gustav Nyquist, Cody Glass, and Denis Gurianov.
Yeah.
I think that kind of sums it up right there, doesn't it? Like, you do have one of the best goalies in the world, unless you're asking NHL. 24, that is. You do have UC Saros in goal still, but he's going to have to do some pretty heavy lifting if there's the thought of Nashville pushing for a playoff spot.
And we know what happens to a goaltender eventually when has to continue to carry a team on his back. Eventually it stops. Like, it's Saros is great. I love him. But how much longer can he keep carrying this team? He's still in his 20s, which is great. But I don't know, man. Like, they're seeming to really rely on that, picking up O'Reilly. His biggest asset is his great defensive play. Most of their money is in their defense, though. Yossi's 33, McDonough's 34, Barry's 32, Luke Shen, who they picked up, is 33.
Their
That's
top four
likely your top four.
Yeah, they're 32 to 34 years old, the top four on Nashville. So, and you don't really have that younger defenseman on the roster. Like, the youngest guy who might be a regular in the starting six is Dante Fabro, and he's 25 years old at this point.
Yeah, he didn't quite pan out the way a lot of people expected.
Yeah, NHL caliber guy, but a lot of people were thinking, like, oh shit, like, he's the guy to kind of break into that. It's like, oh, okay, well, they had Shea Weber and Ryan Suter and then Roman Josi. It's like, can Dante Fabro be that? The answer is no. In looking at the roster, I wanted to be more optimistic about it. It's not going to happen.
No.
I don't think, obviously, like, you look at the teams we've talked about so far. Chicago, they're not worse than last year. Arizona, they're not worse. St. Louis, they might not be significantly better, but they're also not worse than they happened to be last year on paper. Nashville is that team where you look at the departure of Duchesne and Johansson, and Ryan O'Reilly does not offset the loss of those two players, especially the skill that a Duchesne brings to the lineup. Even if you could say, well, in general, the team will be better because the locker room culture will be better and there's a new type of leadership there. But how far can that possibly carry you? And I don't think it's going to carry them to 42 wins or more.
I don't think so.
The team that finished in fourth last season, and another team that could be in that similar spot of not exactly being better, the Winnipeg Jets, who last season were in the wild card in the Western Conference, 46 wins, 95 points. And we just talked about how far can UC Saros carry Nashville. How far can Connor Hellebuck carry the Winnipeg Jets? Especially in a contract year where he said he doesn't want to be on the team if they're not going to be competitive. And they, in terms of offseason moves, had a big departure in terms of Pierre-Luc Dubois. I do think they did well in that trade, bringing in Gabriel Velarde, Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari. Like, it's injected a good amount of depth in that lineup. But you also had the departure of Blake Wheeler, and Mark Scheifele is also in the same exact contract situation as Connor Hellebuck. It feels like they need to kind of make a decision about where they are and where they want to go, and that's not a good decision to end, or a good situation to enter a season into, is needing to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or waiting and seeing. Like, that doesn't instill a whole lot of hope up and down a roster or a fan base where it's like, all right, well, we'll see how we do, and that'll kind of dictate things, because that's where the players are, and you want to try to get the players to stay. right? You don't necessarily want your management vision to also mirror the player vision. Like, I know that kind of sounds weird to say, but you like if Hellebuck is like, I don't know if like I don't want to be there if we're not competitive, and then management's like, let's see what happens. You're gonna stretch yourself to the point of like, who's gonna like, maybe someone's gonna need a goalie at some point, but he's a nearly 6.2 mil goalie. Scheifele, much easier to move. Teams always want centers.
Austin,
yeah.
Please, God. Again, so much, and it's kind of what I was alluding towards with the Coyotes, is so much of their potential success hinges upon, I think, what happens with some of these other teams who don't have that kind of clear-cut outcome for this upcoming season. And the Jets are right there because of those question marks. I do think, hey, Josh Morrissey had a big breakout last season. He was almost a point per game on the blue line. They have good aspects to this team. You just don't know how long some of those good aspects are going to be around. And then what happens afterwards. You trade a Mark Scheifele, you're not immediately getting a player of that caliber right back. You trade a Connor Hellebuck, it's not going to be for a Connor Hellebuck-like goaltender. So, and then if you keep them, and is it better to keep them beyond this season? Like, if you can lock them up long term, I mean, hey, not the best or not the worst outcome in the world, maybe not the best either, but it's also that situation of, is it the best for you to keep these guys, or is it better for you to kind of cash out now and say, it sucks, but our window was there when they made the conference finals. Bufflin was still on the team and everything was looking somewhat okay. It's okay to be like, we missed that bit of a window, and let's figure out the future.
Yeah, the thing with Scheifele, though, like while he's 30, gonna be 31 when that contract expires, he's probably wanting 6 years minimum. Like, everyone towards the end of their career wants a longer term contract. They want that security, and I don't think there's any way he's gonna take like he wants a 3 or 4 year extension or something like that, and that's probably the best move for Winnipeg if they wanted to keep him, was not go too long term, because you want to be able to bail when you can. But yeah, there's kind of in an awkward spot.
They're in an interesting spot too. We talked about with Columbus the idea of Jarmo Kekalainen having been there for over a decade and not having made it beyond the first round more than once. Kevin Cheveldayoff has still been the only GM and executive vice president that this organization has known since moving from Atlanta. He has been there for all 12 years now of their return to Winnipeg. And I just wonder, if they do go the way of the retool, is he the guy? Or do you want a new voice in there to try and bring about this, whatever this new era could be? I'd be very intrigued to hear from Jets fans. I mean, because we had the conversation your first season on the podcast about Doug Wilson, and if he was the right guy to lead the Sharks in the future. Obviously, some things popped up. He's not there anymore. But I'm intrigued. Obviously, the Sharks were an uber competitive team for a great amount of his tenure in San Jose. That hasn't quite been the same situation for the Jets with Cheveldayoff or Kekalainen with Columbus. So I wonder if fans would have that same kind of loyalty towards those GMs.
I would say I hope not, because Doug Wilson made some banger moves, like some banger trades throughout the course of his tenure with the Sharks, and I don't think Cheveldayoff has had nearly the same impact in that regard. I'm trying to think of like a couple, but I mean, the jumbo trade, like Carlson pursuing Tavares, even though he didn't sign here. There's, we even pursued Stamkos when that was a thing. Like Doug Wilson was always in the mix, trying to make the team better, trying to win them a cup and things like that. And yeah, hindsight and what happened with Carlson, that one didn't pan out too well. But again, harken back to when the trade was made, everyone said, it's a steal for San Jose and stuff like that. My opinion was, yeah, he should, try. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he could navigate this thing. Obviously it didn't work out. He steps down due to health and stuff. And we have a new direction now, new GM. And Yeah, I like what he's doing. I honestly, yeah, I think Winnipeg could benefit from a new GM. I don't think they would have the same amount of loyalty, and I don't think they should have the same amount of loyalty that some of us Sharks fans had to Wilson.
You know, it's funny you talking about just the history of Doug Wilson there. It was almost Vegas-esque before Vegas. Always in on the big names that happen to be out there without, immediately like moving Patrick Marleau or Joe Pavelski.
Yeah. Until the one time we the worst decision was just having Pavelski walk because he didn't want to give him that third year. Guess what? He's on his fourth or fifth year since leaving, and he's still productive as fuck. Like, you went with Kane. I think that honestly, I really think that was Doug Wilson operating outside of his comfort zone, of his element. Like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't, but I just felt like that wasn't a very Doug Wilson move. They held on to Thornton and Marleau for forever. They signed Couture long-term. You signed Vlasic long-term. Why did you... I think he listened to the wrong people on Pavelski. I think he's like, he's losing the skating, and then he's getting up there. You have Patrick, you have Evander Kane, who's the new goal scorer, and things like that. But the thing was, Pavelski's biggest part of his game was never his skating. Doesn't matter if that falls off. With Marleau, it mattered that fell off. So, yeah, not wanting him to give him that extra third year, that was a good decision. But you didn't have to do the same thing with Pavelski.
So, Jets fans, while it might seem like we strayed away from your team a bit, I would say think about that as a fan of a team and kind of the ways in which this can go as to whether or not you're happy with Kevin Cheveldayoff being the guy moving forward, and just kind of the similarities that have been out there with other teams.
And even if you are, a new look can be immensely beneficial. I'm very warm to it now.
There you go. The team that finished in third last season, 103 points, 46 wins, the Minnesota Wild. Half expecting Endo to yell soda. He's too tired. That's how you know.
Soda! There you go.
There you go. Well, it's funny. Someone's, I think it was AJ who left a viewer question. I'm like, can you do the Gilbert voice again? And I'm like, one, he's going to be way too tired. And two, those are for special moments. You can't force it every podcast, all right? It'll lose its luster.
Like asking for that same story at bedtime every fucking night. It's like you're gonna like hate the story eventually. Like, it loses its luster, like you said.
Can you read Jack and the Beanstalk for the 15th time, Dad?
He climbed up the fucking stalk, and then he saw the giant, and then he said, "Fuck you!"
The Minnesota Wild.
And then he fucking fell and died. The end. Now go to sleep.
So despite the cap hell that the Wild still find themselves in, from nearly $14.8 million in dead cap, thanks to Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, they have still lined up a playoff caliber team. I think the goaltending duo of Philip Gustafsson, who had a .931 in 39 games last year, and Marc-Andre Fleury is one of the strongest in the league. Defensively, you still have Jared Spurgeon and one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, Jonas Brodin, leading that core. And then from the forward perspective, you still have Kirill Kaprizov. They just re-signed Matt Zuccarello and Marcus Foligno for that matter. Matt Boldy's locked up until 2030. They have that good mix of high-end skill, the grit, the defensive structure, and the goaltending. This is a team that will find regular season success and that are hoping that they are built for playoff success as well. And I can't really envision, like, obviously it can happen, but it would take kind of a brutal underperformance, injuries, so on and so forth for them to not be a playoff team.
Yeah, probably. I see next year as being the year where they probably can't keep it together. But then again, like, I'm looking at what their contracts are. The only guys that they'll maybe lose is like Goligoski, who's 38 anyway. Ryan Hartman.
Hartman's the big one.
Yeah, like, yeah, because he had that monster of a year. Was that last year? Was it the monster of the year or the year before?
So he had injury troubles last year,
Okay,
but
it was the
since
year
going
before,
to
yeah.
Minnesota, this will be his 5th season there. He started off slow in his first 2 years. He was a 20, 30-point guy. And in 21-22, he had
Yeah.
the 65 points in 82 games with 34 goals.
Yeah,
And then
that was
last season ran into more injury trouble. That big season for him was the only season of his career where he played the full season.
Yeah,
If I'm not
so
mistaken. The COVID year, he might have technically, but you get the point.
yeah, he's that's the big one. So like, there's a big chunk of your offense if he returns to form. And again, Fleury's probably gone. Is Gustafsson the guy? Who else do you have? The one real upside I see for this team is the fact of when Kaprizov is on his contract year, they'll be back down to 1.6 million of dead cap. And that's the year where you can reload and show Kaprizov, hey, we can push for the playoffs so you don't lose him. Because that's the real danger, is losing Kaprizov when he's, in the middle or maybe towards the tail end of his prime, but still kind of in the middle of his prime, because he's a hell of a player and he kind of quickly became the guy for the Wild.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know a lot of Wild fans talked about it, the idea of like, all right, most talented player in team history. There are a lot of people who would already rank him over Marian Gaborik as like, this is the best player we've ever had in our franchise history.
Probably,
I can't necessarily say those people are wrong. Marian Gaborik, one of my favorite players growing up and one of the best consistently in the league, but Kirill Kaprizov has been unbelievable. Better than I think anyone could have expected.
Yeah.
Joining that team. And yeah, that's almost a Matthews-like fear at this stage already, I would say, is just, they have a solid team now, and who knows if they can go on a run with the core that they have. But yeah, what happens in those couple years from now when that deal is up, and will the convincing be there? But
yeah,
that is 2026's problem. I would think they're a playoff team again. It would really take Winnipeg, St. Louis, I think, being better than some people expect. Like, I expect the Blues to be able to push for the playoffs, but it would be tough to, especially if there were to only be 3 teams from the Central, which I don't think will be the case, but it could be. There's going to be a good team or two that misses out on the playoffs in the West just due to the playoff structure. It's just the way it works. Yeah. I don't think it'll be Minnesota, though.
Yeah, I think they're going to squeak in for this year, next year. Next year, I don't know, but the one thing is that, like you said, they're a playoff team while still having $14.7 million on the cap right now. Next season, they still have that 14.7, but then 2025, 2026, when they have that freedom, because it's only going to be 1.6, it's going to be basically the ability to not only just grab like a couple few players, because like their team's strong right now as it is. Like, they got rid of some guys, they brought some guys in, but at the same time, if you're fielding a team with 14 million on the cap, like, against you, imagine how strong your team's going to be, or what's going to happen in the few years when you have to pay those guys who are on ELCs, if there are any on that team. There's like Connor Dewar, Patrick Broom making like $800K, but like in 2 years from now, you're going to have a lot more money to spend around and get people like paid. And if, from what it looks like on their contract situation, you have to worry about paying Kirill Kaprizov, because when you have that money freed up, you have him for 1 more year at 9. And I'm pretty sure he's going to want to sign up his contract that same season. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The team that finished in second last season, and as we heard, Dekeslayer's choice to win the division, the Dallas Stars, with 108 points, 47 wins, finished 1 point behind the division winner in Colorado. And this is a team that got stronger. Right now, Matt Duchene is expected, at least Cap Friendly has Matt Duchene on the 3rd line with Mason Marchment and Tyler Seguin. I mean, they have some depth. If Jamie Benn cannot blow it in the playoffs, they have depth to work with. I I do still think they're missing like that one extra impact defenseman. But they are a very, very well-rounded team, led, of course, by the Finns, because that's the key to success in the NHL. Build around Finns.
Yes.
They're going to be good. Like, again, the idea of them missing the playoffs, it would take something drastic for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's not too much to add because, good team, good.
They're so good. Like, they're so good. And I'm 100% on board. I think they win that division. Like, I can't say by a landslide because Colorado still has, who they have. But this team is really good. Like, you can argue maybe their back end isn't super strong, but it is because you have incredible A-plus talent back there in Miro Heiskanen, who is still getting better. And if he was on the East Coast, he would be, hailed as the best defenseman on the East Coast because, well, he's better than who they say the best defenseman on the East Coast is right now.
Pew, 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 pew. Shots fired.
Get fucked, Adam Fox.
It's really tough with a team like this. I mean, the top line is still projected to be Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski, for God's sakes. And that is still such a sick top line. Obviously, I think the expectations on Ottinger will be a little bit lower. But I think in general, that's probably an adjustment that the team makes as a whole. And with the coaching is to not have to rely on him to post. I mean, it was a 954 in 21-22 when they lost to Calgary, was it? And then last year, 19 playoff games, he only had an 895. He is still a young goalie, though, at 24 years old. I think last season, they always talk about, the championship caliber teams and the wake-up calls that they needed and the learning moments. There's a really good chance that last postseason will serve as one of those big learning moments for the Dallas Stars in the playoffs for the younger guys in the lineup. And then again, you add someone like Matt Duchene, who doesn't have to be in a leadership role on this team, which apparently was the big fault with him. Like, he can just play his game and put up points, especially if he's playing next to Tyler Seguin. That's going to be a very beneficial partnership for both of them at this stage. So, yeah, it's going to be another good season in Dallas.
Definitely.
And that brings us to the team that finished him first, the Colorado Avalanche, who I have mentioned franchise mode rosters. This is a franchise mode roster. It's the only way I can think to put it. Their top line right now, right to left, Rantanen, McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin.
Man.
This is your chance, John. This is your fucking chance to live up to the whole top 3 overall pick billing at this stage. It might be at age 28 and a lot later than you thought, but this is your fucking opportunity to live up to that maximum potential that Tampa thought they were getting with you, and then Montreal subsequently after the Sergachev trade. This is the best opportunity of his career to be the guy that it was thought that he could be. And the rest of the team is kind of similar. You have Lehkonen, Ryan Johansson, and Valeri Nichushkin on the second line, which is very, very good. Miles Wood, Ross Colton, and Thomas Tatar as a third line. Such a franchise mode line. 3 guys known for being elsewhere. And then defensively, they pretty much kept it together. Taves, Makar, Gerard, and Byram. And then Jack Johnson and Josh Manson is slotted in as the third pair right now, which is hilarious to me. The biggest thing for them, they're without Gabriel Landeskog again. Which, again, I hope the guy comes back, but boy, is it looking unlikely. And then goaltending. Pavel Francouz, who was he was the backup to Georgiev last season, is going to be out, I believe, for an undetermined amount of time right now. So they have Georgiev leading the way and backup goalie Eustace Anuin, 23 years old.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
only played 2 NHL games last year, didn't do very well. They're going to be counting on him to kind of step up, or they could very well be in the goalie market.
Yeah. I didn't know that about Francouz. I'm looking at Cap Friendly. It just shows him on the roster. It doesn't say anything about the because he probably wasn't placed on IR yet. No. That sucks for them.
Yeah. That's one of those things, right? Where it's like you see that team on paper and it's like, okay, it will take injuries or just kind of an unforeseen collapse of a lot of players having a career low year for them to be in any sort of danger. But as we have already talked about, the idea of running a goalie into the ground, you don't want to risk that with Georgiev, who played a career high 62 games last season. But still, it's just that idea if you don't want to run somebody into the ground too early. I still think Colorado's a playoff team, but we've seen it before, like the wear and tear of the regular season and the effort just to get in. By the time you get to the playoffs, you're pretty much out of gas already. That's not an impossibility with this Avs team this year, as strong as they are.
Yeah, and I also wonder about. I feel like their third pairing is pretty weak. To put it kind of mildly, and I could see them, in the playoffs, really shortening the bench, especially on the back end, and probably a little bit of like sitting the fourth line too. Because when I'm looking at their potential fourth liners, it's kind of like maybe in a who's who, but that's going to be tough. As you mentioned, fatigue becomes a factor. Now, good news is, Makar and Girard are super young and they could carry that load, but that's them. I don't know, man. They're gonna take a step back. I think that's just what it's gonna be, but they're still gonna be a good team, and I think they could still make waves in the playoffs. I'm still very high on Georgiev. I think fucking New York, man, they had 2 incredible goaltenders. Obviously, you got to get rid of them. Georgiev could really, really just like explode. I think he's one of those guys that could like take over a playoff series, and that might be what Colorado needs, come that time.
Yeah. So all in all, with that, the Central Division could end up being pretty similar to last year. It's another one. I don't think it's quite to the extent of the Atlantic, where it's like, oh God, what's going to happen here? Because again, the odds that like Chicago pushes for a playoff spot, slim. Could happen. You never know. Doubt it. But it's still an interesting division to keep an eye on just because of all the different little kind of factors going on surrounding it. That said, we will look to wind things down for today. We have one more preview to go, and I'm excited for this next one.
Oh yeah, I'm excited too.
This will be a good one. It will serve as a Metro Division preview, but at the same time, not quite, because our guest this time out, if you are a Seattle Kraken fan, you will know him well, as he is a broadcaster with the Seattle Kraken, the host of their Signals from the Deep podcast. Nick Olczyk is going to be on the show this upcoming week to talk all about the Metro Division, the league in general, and obviously the Seattle Kraken for this upcoming season. So very, very much looking forward to that later on this week. That is, that's this Thursday. Is it not instead of Friday? It is this Thursday. Again, we had some schedule changes here and there, but yeah, that'll be this Thursday, October 5th. So you might be hearing it on the 6th, but yeah, look forward to that one. It's going to be fun, to say the least. And then again, the NHL regular season starts just over a week from today, which is also exciting to finally have the action get underway. For now, Endo Mills, are you ready to take a nap?
Yeah. Sorry, didn't add much to the conversation. I'm exhausted. Too much.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thumbs up. I want my bed.
There you go. Sin for the win.
Yes, sir.
What do you got going on?
A lot. NHL 24 has not officially arrived, but arrived for me and a lot of us. And I got a Be a Pro series underway and a Boston Bruins franchise mode underway on my channel, which has just uploaded as of 1 minute ago. I mean, that doesn't matter because they're going to hear this hours later, but yeah, come check it out. And because apparently Tougie's also doing a Boston one, we're going to see who can win more cups.
Hell yeah. Head to head. It was a somewhat last second decision for me, but when I saw that NHL 24,
I decided this morning too.
There you go.
Like, fuck.
They got the new look, you know. It's a new look. It's a new era for the Bruins, like we talked about on our Atlantic breakdown last week. So hey, make sure to check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, there'll be a lot of NHL 24 content for me as well across the board, and yeah, we'll see how she goes. Especially when again those rosters are trash. With that, we will see you all later on this week. Thank you for listening to another edition of the podcast or watching, and we'll see you next time.